Glad that you're back to 0 to 60 motoring once again. My name is Bill Tori, and today I'm bringing you a review of a budget car, or what you can call gari ya mkulima mdogo. These are 2006 Toyota Ist whose production ran from 2002 to 2007, which was the first generation, before the second generation started from 2007. So I'm going to tell you a couple of things about this car, so hang around until the end of this video. So these are common car in Kenya, and it may not need a thorough introduction. I also know that my fans from Tanzania are going to like this review, because in Tanzania, literally the car in front of you and the car behind you is a Toyota Ist. So pricing for these cars, when in a good condition, you will find them around 650,000. But if you are purchasing something that needs a little bit of work to bring it into a fashionable state, you can find them going as low as 500,000 shillings. So if you want to purchase a car, you can check out our social media platforms. That is TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and our Facebook pages. We've prepared many reviews to make your car ownership journey easy. If you also want to purchase a car, you can get in touch with us via the number below. We are going to scout a clean car for you, inspect it, and ensure that you go home with a clean car. If you also have a car that you'd like us to review, we are looking to increasing our content on the channel. We'll be glad to review your car. So you can also get in touch with us via the number below, so that we organize how to go about that review. So a buyer of a budget car or a mkulima mdogo, basically they have some elements or priorities they are looking for in a car. Number one is a reliability. Number two is a fuel consumption. And number three is something that won't break the bank to run. That is a maintenance cost. So in this video, I'm going to lay more emphasis on a reliability, fuel consumption, and a maintenance cost, as compared to something like a performance or maybe aesthetics. But of course, I'm going to talk about everything. So when you look at this car, generally it is a small hatchback, but the size of this car can tell you that the headroom of this car, or the practicality element, is going to be good. This is a 2005, this is a 2006 car, something that is almost 20 years old. But you can tell that if you give it the care it deserves, this is a car that is going to last. What I like about this car is that the ground clearance of this car, especially on the stock suspension like the one on this car, it is still okay. So if maybe you are using rough roads up country, if you add a medium duty springs to this car, it is going to serve you extremely well. So this generation of the Toyota Ist was offered with two main engines. What I have here is a 1300cc 2NZ engine. The other option is a 1.5 liter 1NZ FE engine. And you know, Toyota normally produces one engine and then slaps it on very many cars. For instance, this 1300cc 2NZ engine is also used in the Toyota Pro Boxer. We have the likes of the Plats, or even the Toyota Vitz. Now, this 1.3 liter engine here makes around 90 HP, and it's paired to a 4-speed automatic transmission that sends drive to the front wheels. If you want a 4-wheel drive IST, then you'll have to purchase the 1.5 liter. That one can also be found with a front-wheel drivetrain or an all-wheel drivetrain. So Toyota's 1NZ FE engine and 2NZ FE engine, I normally call them bulletproof, because they are very reliable engines. For this 2NZ engine, I've seen it going up to 400,000 kilometers on the Toyota Pro Box and the Toyota Vitz without any problem. So this is an engine that you can trust that it is going to serve you for a very long time, as long as you give it the right treatment. By the right treatment, I mean you give it oil when the interval comes about, and you do normal routine maintenance. The song still applies to the 1NZ FE engine. I've reviewed many cars with the 1.5 liter 1NZ FE engine, and I don't need to repeat myself on the dependability of that engine. It's an engine that is even used in 2018, 2019 cars like the Fielder and even the Toyota Axio. So when you hear a car has a 2NZ engine or a 1NZ engine, that alone screams a reliability. So away from the reliability reputation of this 1.3 liter 2NZ engine, 4-speed automatic transmissions are not the best in terms of driving dynamics, but it is a robust transmission that hardly breaks down. So in terms of the powertrain, you can trust that this Toyota Ist is going to serve you for a very long duration. There is nothing fancy about performance or driving dynamics, but rather durability and practicality. How about the maintenance cost or running cost of this Toyota Ist? This is a simple car to maintain, or it's something that is not going to break your bank in terms of maintenance. A minor service on this car is going to cost you around 6,000 shillings, and the parts for this car are not expensive. And good thing with this Toyota Ist is that majority of its mechanical components are interchangeable with other cars like maybe the Toyota Ist. And now that means it is a simple car to maintain regardless of your location in the country. And I think that is a fact that is going to propel someone to purchasing this car, because if you are having a car that is easier to run while maybe you are in Garissa, Kakamega, Siaya, then it means it's a car that is not going to surprise you. Hii si ile gari yenye itataka uletewe parts from abroad. This is a car you can trust to deliver whatever task that you throw at it. As long as you've given it the right treatment, it's not a car that is going to surprise you in the morning whatsoever. So it's a very simple car to maintain. And another thing that makes it a good car for someone who's living up country is that it is simply engineered. There is no fancy stuff here or technology, and that also means that your mechanic is not going to have any problem whatsoever fixing this car. The Toyota Ist is a simple car to drive. Basically, even from the size, it should not be a big deal for anyone to drive this car. The small size, of course, makes it very easy to even park it in tight spots. I will not describe it as nimble around corners, but you shouldn't have a problem putting this car within the lanes or even corners, as long as you don't approach them with a high speed. So this 1.3 liter makes around 90 HP, and technically that should tell you that performance should not be the main priority or something you should be giving preference to when you are purchasing a Toyota Ist. This is basically a car that should shield you from the rain. It is a car that should take you from A to B, from for your normal commutes from home to work, without any big deal. If you want a little bit of performance or something that can accelerate better, then you can consider the 1.5 liter Ist, but still it is not something that is going to set your world on fire, or the engine is not something that you should be expecting fireworks from. So the way I look at these hatchbacks from 2005, I look at them as cars for commuting, or cars that are normally preferable for those people who are getting into cars for the first time, who are not really into enthusiasm or performance, but rather want something that can go from A to B in a relaxed manner without any drama, and something that won't surprise you in the morning. Ile gari ukienda kuwasha asubuhi itawaka, si ile gari itashinda imekupeleka kwa mechanic. And I think that is why buyers are around these price point and around these engine sized cars normally look at reliability and dependability ahead of performance. Because if you want performance and you have 600,000 shillings, most probably you can get into a Toyota Mark X GRX 120, 125 with a 2.5 liter V6 engine. That will give you better performance. You can even get into my favorite car around 500,000 shillings, which is a Toyota Mark II Grande. That one will give you better performance, but performance comes at a cost. And the cost you are going to bear in this case, in case you go for the 6 cylinders, is fuel consumption. So on the highway, the Toyota Ist will perform like a 1.3 liter should perform. Or let me put it this way. It will perform like a 20-year-old 1.3 liter, because the performance of a modern 1.3 liter may be different because they are now more efficient and tuned maybe for better performance. But still, once the car gets to highway speeds, like for instance, I'm now doing 80 kilometers per hour, the car is still okay on the road and there are no dramas whatsoever. Of course, when you accelerate and maybe get to something like 100 kilometers per hour, you'll now hear that the road noise is now encroaching the cabin to a bigger extent. And when I'm driving this kind of cars, I prefer my maximum speed to be 100 kilometers per hour, but it can even go up to 120 without much dramas. But if you want to continue watching our videos and you are driving this kind of cars, I'll advise that you maintain your speed at 100 or a maximum of 110 kilometers per hour. I'm doing a speed of 80 kilometers per hour and my rev is around 2000 RPM. That is, I think, reasonable for a 1.3 liter natural aspirated petrol engine. Of course, that tells you if you load this car, maybe you are 5 occupants in this car and the trunk is loaded, then you'll have to rev it hard for it maybe to go uphill. But that is perfectly normal for a car that has a small engine and it's not tuned towards performance. The way I'm reviewing this car is not the same way I review something maybe like maybe a Subaru Outback or something like maybe like a Golf GTI or something maybe like an Audi A4, those kind of cars. In this car, I'm a little bit conservative on how performance should look like. It's not a car that should set your world on fire. Let me repeat those terms. Fuel consumption is a big factor when someone is purchasing a car around this price point. And let me tell you something about it. When you drive this 1.3 liter IST on the highway and you are gentle on the gas pedal, you can average like 15.5 kilometers per liter, which also depends on the mechanical health of the car. But of course, if you are a little bit aggressive on the gas pedal and maybe the car is loaded, the numbers normally drop. So 15 kilometers per liter, that may sound like low numbers, especially on a 1.3 liter, but it's good also learning that this is a 20-year-old car which has close to zero fuel saving technology. And then this is a car that uses a 4-speed automatic transmission, and if you're conversant with cars, you know a 4-speed transmission is not the best when it comes to fuel saving. So this is the interior of this Toyota Ist, and you can tell that it's a simple cabin. There is nothing fancy inside here. Of course, this was a well-kept car. That is why you can see that the dashboard is intact and doesn't have any crack whatsoever or any signs of wear and tear or even on these door panels. But generally, the review of this car in the interior, it's something that should be practical or functional. Nothing much fancy here. What I really don't like about these Toyota Ist and some versions of the Toyota Vitz or even some bigger cars like the Nissan X-Trail T30 is the placement of this speedometer here, especially on the center here. It literally tells you that anybody or even the back passengers will always be monitoring your driving here. But because this is not a performance car, there is no harm even if the rear occupants watch your speeds. So while the Toyota Ist looks like a small car, it is a practical car in terms of a space. For these small cars, this head knee room I think is sufficient for me, considering that this is my driving position and I've adjusted the seat a little bit backwards. The headroom is also good. I don't think someone is going to have any complaint with that. And because this middle seat here is flat, the car can easily accommodate 3 occupants at these seats without any problem. So in terms of spacing element, I think that is one of the reasons that is going to propel someone to purchasing the Toyota Ist over something like a Vitz. This is how the boot looks like. It's not a big boot, but then it's still functional enough for your needs or a small family. And a good thing with these earlier generation cars and like modern cars is that they give you a provision for a full-size spare wheel. So I think that was generous of the designers back then. And in case the space is not that sufficient, you can always lower these rear seats and fold them to the front, and then maybe get more room for your for your luggage. So if you are looking for a budget car or a gari ya mkulima mdogo that won't break the bank to run, is a reliable and a fuel efficient, I think you can add the Toyota Ist on your short list. It is a car that is simple to maintain and hardy. At the same time, it's practical in the interior. The main problem you're going to have with the Toyota Ist is finding a clean one in the market. So this was a short review because there are not many things to talk about the Toyota Ist. If you have a question regarding this car or any other car, generally you can get in touch with us via the number below. And remember, if you also own a car that you would like us to review, message us on the number below so that we organize on how to go about that plan. All right, guys, bye for now. I'll see you on the next one.